Ian Austin, the New York Times. What message do you have for hospitals, universities, medical charities in general, about why the government thinks it's necessary to compete against them for donations for this project?
Look, a country, we have to do many things at the same time. We have to build physical infrastructure as a country. We have to reinforce our defense, reassert our sovereignty in the Arctic. We have to invest in medical technologies, which we will be doing. We need to invest in our people, our social services. As individuals, the same holds. Decisions in terms of supporting the arts, supporting humanitarian causes around the world, supporting direct charity in your community, and individuals make those decisions, and we very much respect. This is a response. The structure here is a response to incoming interest in supporting this project. Okay, it is a response, and Ian, I know you're from the New York Times, and I'm going to message for Americans. Okay, you can pass this message out. Canadians believe in Canada. Canadians are getting behind this country. Canadians are making decisions with where they travel, where they purchase, who they support, the institutions they support. They're coming together and supporting our country. And we are building this home of the Prime Minister of a G7 country for centuries. That's what we're doing today.
That answer is the reason this clip went viral in the first place. An American reporter tried to frame a Canadian nation-building project as a cash grab, competing with hospitals and charities. And Carney didn't just defend the project, he turned the question back around and delivered a message directly to an American audience through the reporter standing in front of him. But there's a lot more to this story than one good soundbite, and most of it never made it into the clips that went around online. 24 Sussex Drive has been the official residence of Canada's Prime Minister since Louis Saint Laurent, home to 10 Prime Ministers over more than 75 years, hosting Queen Elizabeth II, Winston Churchill, and John F. Kennedy inside its walls. It's also been sitting completely empty for more than a decade, in what Carney himself described as literally stripped down to the studs and barely held together. Every government for years agreed the building needed saving. None of them actually did it. Today's announcement was Carney putting an actual plan and an actual timeline behind a problem every prime minister before him just talked about. Rather than simply asking taxpayers to cover the entire bill, Carney launched a national design and build competition open to Canadian architecture and construction firms, with an independent jury chaired by world-renowned architect Moshe Safdie evaluating proposals on heritage preservation, sustainability, functionality, and value for money. The winning design will be announced by Canada Day next year, with the same firm responsible for both designing and actually building it, meaning whoever wins has to deliver a real, disciplined construction plan, not just an ambitious concept. Here's the detail that got buried under the viral clip, and it directly answers the fair question every skeptic raised the moment this was announced. Could wealthy donors buy influence over a government project by funding it? Carney laid out the safeguards in detail. The fundraising will run entirely through the Rideau Hall Foundation, operating at arm's length from government, meaning the foundation raises the money, but has zero influence over the actual design decisions, which stay entirely with Safdie's independent expert jury. The full list of donors will be made public. There will be a cap on individual contributions, expected to be roughly 10% of the total amount raised. And critically, only individuals and philanthropic organizations can contribute. No corporate donations are permitted at all, closing off exactly the kind of access-buying scenario critics were worried about. This also isn't a partisan pet project dressed up as heritage preservation. Carney specifically thanked former Prime Ministers Stephen Harper and Jean Chrétien for pushing for this renovation for years, and acknowledged support from Joe Clark, Kim Campbell, Paul Martin, Justin Trudeau, and Brian Mulroney, meaning every living former Prime Minister, across every party, backs restoring this building. That's a rare moment of genuine cross-party agreement in Canadian politics, and it undercuts any attempt to paint this as one government's vanity project. Carney added something easy to miss but worth noting. His own kids are already grown, and he said plainly he will never actually live at 24 Sussex Drive himself, even once restored. He's spending political capital and fundraising effort on a residence he personally will never use, framing it instead as an obligation to future prime ministers who will need to raise their own families there and to the institution itself, outliving whoever currently holds the office. The same press conference also touched on Canada's ongoing trade tensions with the U.S., with Carney confirming CUSMA has come up directly in his conversations with Trump, and that Canada is actively negotiating rather than accepting what he called bad deals already on the table for hard-hit industries. It's a reminder that even a domestic heritage story like this one is happening against the backdrop of the same U.S. relationship tension running through everything else this government has announced lately. Strip away the viral soundbite, and what's left is a genuinely well-structured plan, transparent funding, an independent jury, cross-party support, and a prime minister who won't personally benefit from any of it. The American reporter's question wasn't unreasonable on its face, but the answer he got wasn't just a clever comeback. It was backed by actual safeguards most critics hadn't even asked about yet. Do you think this is the right way to fund a national landmark, or should the government have just paid for it outright? Subscribe to Unbiased Canada, hit like, and let us know in the comments.